On this week's episode, we ask, can America finally challenge Korea's dominance in the pro scene? We'll go over major headlines and talk team rankings for Overwatch and League of Legends. Welcome to The Starting Point with your hosts Jim Basco Mondo, Widowmaker Grandmaster, coach and analyst for Microsoft Mixer Studios, and Judy Jet Set Barbosa, head of New York City League of Legends, esports promoter, and former competitive player. Your esports starts now.
Let's start off with the PvP, where we'll be tackling the hottest topics in esports. And this week's topic, can other regions dethrone Korea?
Not at all, and I don't know how you can say that.
Okay, I got lots of
Korea is the best. Korea's the best.
No, they're not the best. Like, literally not the best. Overwatch League, okay, last week was ridiculous, the week before as well. New York Excelsior was previously undefeated, and then the Philadelphia Fusion showed up and Shadowburn made his mark on the team, to say the least. They went down. Koreans are beatable. Boston, the meme team, number 12 on a lot of lists at the beginning of the season, took out the London Spitfire. Koreans are beatable. Houston Outlaws against the Seoul Dynasty, the closest game I've watched to date, 3-2. So close.
I don't know if you've heard this phrase before, but close only counts in horseshoes, okay?
Yeah.
Come on, they didn't win. I don't know how you're counting that as a win when they
so
didn't
close.
win.
You have to watch the match.
Plus, Houston, of those teams that you talked about with those milestone wins, is the only team without any Koreans in it. I only know this because I care about Dignitas and Gamsu was on Boston Uprising. Yeah. So you can't tell me otherwise. You're proving my point for me. The ones that with the crazy upsets are the ones with Koreans in it. And I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm coming from a background in League, right? Where Koreans are dominant. They've been dominant since 2012, okay? And it's just, it can't be denied. SKT let's not talk about SKT yet. We can get to that later. But I mean, between SKT, Samsung and its various iterations, the other regions can't even touch them.
What do you mean they can't touch them? Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but China beat out Longzhu at Worlds. That's the premier competitive stage. RNG took out SKT all the way to Game 5. If that's not an indication that the gap is closing, I don't know what is.
I mean, you mentioned Longzhu.
Yeah. When
that was the team that lost to Samsung. By the way, an all-Korean team, Samsung didn't lose a game. They did not drop a game and proceeded to win Worlds.
Yeah, but Samsung lost twice to Royal in groups. And AHQ took a game off of SKT, and China has done historically very well.
You want to talk about China? How is China doing in Overwatch, Mr. Overwatch Pro?
China's interesting, but they've got bigger issues like corruption and scandals on their hands, so we'll forget about them for now.
Okay, let me run it back, okay? Because I don't think you understand the level of dominance that Koreans have had in League. Maybe it be you haven't been in League for a little bit, you haven't followed the esport.
That's the key word, in League.
Okay, well, first off, you can't talk to me like Overwatch is like the dominant esport, because we had this conversation last episode, and we came to a very, very distinct conclusion.
Yes, give it 10 more years maybe, and then we'll talk about it again.
In the dominant esport of League of Legends, Koreans have only lost in MSI, who gives a crap about MSI, and IPL 5. Is IPL even a thing anymore? So yeah, all the things that Koreans may have looked shaky in don't matter.
You say that, but Overwatch League, okay, you can't forget the amount of money, the amount of resources that went into this thing. This is real life esports. It's happening now. Let's look at Overwatch, and if you look at Season 1, the first competitive time we got to look at really the scene and everything was in Korea. OGN, Season 1. Envious, the Dallas Fuel roster, Overwatch League pros now, went over to Korea, and they ended up winning the whole thing. If that's not a more indication that the gap is closing, what do you need?
I mean, I just feel like that, so first off, Overwatch League as a thing didn't even exist then, right? That was kind of all we had for Overwatch esports. And back in the beginning, I just really think they didn't have much competition. I mean, plus, let's think about how they're doing now, right? This team Envious that you care about so much.
Yes.
What's their record looking now? That there are Koreans involved on the regular.
Not so good.
Yeah, because 1 and 5 is the ratio of champions.
But okay, but look, see, the question was regarding if we're catching up. Okay.
Are we catching up when the top 3 teams are Koreans?
We're catching up. Okay, look, Boston was number 12. Okay, look. Okay, just really the way you have to dissect it is this. Look at the teams, look at the way the league is set up, look at the way they're trying to fight the other teams. What are they doing? You know, it's just a bit of a different comparison from League to Overwatch.
I guess, I don't know, I just feel, I'm coming from, when you say the gap is closing, to be honest, it kind of triggers me because it's a thing that we've heard over and over in League. You know, every time a new World's Championship is coming up, TSM's looking dominant, Cloud9's looking dominant, Team Liquid's 4th. But, you know, everything is, you know, ramping up and we're really excited to see things go down, and then they just get slapped around by Koreans again. And it's just inevitable. You know what I mean? And I just think that to me is just an indication that no matter what we do, Koreans are just gonna outdo us. I don't know.
I just don't agree, man. It's the stats show otherwise.
But how can the stats show otherwise, right? When we had a head start in League of Legends. Do you know what I mean?
Quote unquote.
Come on, we did. The league started here, right? We had a whole season 1, right, with DreamHack finals where Fnatic won, right? And then
Expect game.
Right. I mean, that was awesome. But then Koreans got their hands on League.
Okay.
Even though they were a couple patches behind, I kind of feel like that's the reason why TPA won in season 2. But never mind that. Ever since then, it's been all Koreans.
Okay, so you say head start, and the reason I said quote unquote is, you know, esports in Korea is just so different. Like, okay, so if you they do a lot of interviews with the Korean pros, and just the culture in Korea is just different down to the nth degree. They have team houses, they have professional coaches, the culture is a lot more accepting towards esports. So if you say, hey, I want to go pro in League of Legends, over there people are going to support you. People are going to try to make sure you do your best. So when you say that the West had a head start, I don't know if that's really a valid point.
I mean, I get where you're coming from. It's not like, you know, it's some promised land of esports where everyone is just accepted if they want to go pro. I mean, people are still, you know, I've seen interviews with tons of Korean pros who say, like, you know, I had to fight with my parents in order for this to happen. I had terrible grades in school, and I played games all day, and, you know, everyone close to me thought I was just a recluse. But I really do see that, you know, they embrace esports to a degree that we don't. And we're still kind of growing in that regard. I do see that.
And you, like, it's at such a weird point in its life right now in, like, the Western states, but I'm so glad that we're finally reaching that point. It's taken so many years, but with names like the Golden State Warriors picking up a team in League of Legends, Cleveland has a team, 100 Thieves, the Crafts, the Patriots family, they own an Overwatch spot, Boston Uprising. It's ridiculous that this much money and power and people are getting interested and invested into it.
I mean, that's cool and all, but we also need to make sure that they're using their money the right way, right? Because obviously we've seen that just emulating Koreans doesn't win, right? I mean, Koreans were doing the B team thing where you were scrimming against like-minded, you know, people in your same team in order to, you know, keep the secrets, keep the strats under wraps, right? We were seeing team houses, but then we see, you know, TSM get a team house and they're still getting slapped around by Koreans. We see the EDG house, like a beautiful giant complex, like a massive apartment with luxury, like digs everywhere. And they're not showing up. And who is? Koreans. And I just, you know, you can't just say, you know, you can't just say that we have the money and we do like they do and we win, because we don't.
But you can't also just say that the Korean players are just better because they're Korean, because we've had those players come over, dude. Okay, remember SKT T1 Piglet?
Yeah, that was a
World
tragedy.
Championship winner. Okay, he came over to the US, got onto Team Liquid. How did he do?
Not so good.
Yeah. Let's
You're right.
go again. GBM on energy, dude.
No, I really wanted him to do well, dude.
Everybody wanted him to do well, but that, once again, it didn't work out. And it's time and time again we see this happening. So you can't just say that the Koreans.
You know, I'm actually gonna pick that up because it's interesting that you mentioned Piglet, because him in particular, he sparked a lot of discussion when he first came over, because he was still under the sort of Korean routine where he, you know, I remember interviews with X Special, who was his support at the time, who was saying, yeah, he's like practicing way more than we do. He's just hitting that solo queue super hard, and it still wasn't producing results. So is it because the Korean was out of his element and not in the Korean culture? Or was it because it's true that maybe it's not, esports just isn't in their blood?
Yeah.
I kind of think, because if you look back at that time, his stats were still amazing. So I really think that it does have something to do with the cultural appreciation of esports, because I feel like NA teams, I can't speak so much for Chinese teams, but NA teams, they just don't have the same respect for the sport that we do, or that Koreans do, rather.
Yeah, and when you look at these players and you see their stats and they're doing phenomenally, but they're just not having the synergy, not bonding with their teams, you have these owners going, hey, what is going on? We have all, like, they think they have all the factors aligned in the same way that they had in Korea for these players, but it's just not working out. So, I mean, there's obviously been times that it works out. We have Perks on G2, Bjergsen on TSM, but it doesn't mean that Western teams, Chinese teams, Latin American teams aren't going to be spending that time now to try and counter these Korean strats. You know, like, they're going to be working overtime to try their best, and it's working. We're seeing it work in the Overwatch League, and they're chipping away at it. They're making dents, bigger dents now. The cracks are starting to show.
I mean, we'll see, because I don't know. I personally am in a situation where rooting for NYXL, I want Koreans to just do better because they're on my team now. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to root against my team, but I would like to see, you know, other regions do better. I would like to see the playing field a little bit leveled, because it is really disappointing when it's just a stomp one way or the other.
Absolutely. And I think that the way that they've designed the Overwatch League and the way that they've formatted it is really smart, because they've got the best of the best in the world going up against each other 4 times a week. In League, we see a little bit more of a disparity, so it's kind of hard to compare the two.
I mean, yeah, I guess the way Overwatch is set up and the fact that Overwatch is coming in with a lot more respect for esports already, so I would say League of Legends has laid the groundwork for games like Overwatch to really succeed as a league, so maybe that is kind of closing the gap or leveling the playing field so that, you know, other regions can rise up to the occasion. We'll see. I mean, we really do have to see where it goes from here, because I'm not convinced. I really do think that Koreans right now have the vice grip on talent and execution, and it's going to take a lot for that sort of, for the playing field to be leveled for other regions.
Well, the first stage of the Overwatch League is coming to a close sometime very, very soon. Week 5 is about to be underway. And, you know, as we head on into stage 2, we're going to have to keep our eyes on the Korean competition, because there was a lot of unexpected results throughout the first stage. Going into stage 2, I'm hoping we see a lot more Korean teams fall, and league season is going to be fantastic as well.
I mean, it's only getting better, but at the moment, we do have to understand that, you know, the top 3 teams, as we speak, are Koreans.
Yeah.
The dominant teams in League of Legends are Korean. So there's no other way about it, you know? Whether they're catching up is a different story, but Koreans dominate.
What the question was, are they catching up? So the answer is yes.
I guess.
So we were talking about the Overwatch League Stage 1 coming to a close sometime to a theater near you very soon. But with that being said, let's take a look at the tournament events around the world, headlines, recaps, scores in our roundup.
All right, I'm going to start with League of Legends because TSM and CLG both looked really good this past weekend, and we need to talk about it.
Maybe a return to glory.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It's still early for us, but TSM and CLG both 2-0'd this weekend. Now, TSM beat the Golden Guardians, okay, but they also beat 100 Thieves. Meanwhile, CLG beat the Echo Fox. Both teams are teams that we highlighted in our last episode. So,
out of those 2 victories, what would you say was the better game in your opinion?
Honestly, the Echo Fox game I think was more neck and neck because TSM just kind of handed it to 100 Thieves. And their communication, TSM's communication was looking really strong. They were clearly watching our show and must have, you know, gelled that up. And I'm really proud of them because they're finally looking like the team that everyone expects them to be. I mean, I don't feel bad for TSM fans to, you know, feel the taste of defeat once in a while, but it's good to see that our star players are back in form. CLG in general has just kind of elevated in a way that I was frankly surprised by. I mean, I have complete faith in Huhi and some of the other players, but Stixay, I don't know if you know that I have a thing against Stixay. I think
I've heard from a little bird in the wind.
Really bad, and he looked really bad last week. But this past weekend, they gave him the picks that he wanted. They gave him the Kalista, they gave him the Kog'Maw.
Wait, so when they play Kalista and Kog'Maw, I know Kog'Maw's super glass cannon.
Yeah. When you pick a Kog'Maw and when you pick a Kalista, you know that all of the resources are going towards that AD carry. And they need to be protected in order to do the things they need to do.
It's called to protect the Cog, right?
Yeah, that's definitely what it used to be called. I think the team comm has shifted slightly due to the changes in meta, but it's still a very, you know, it's an indicator, right? And finally, Stixay didn't drop the ball on it. So
nice.
Good on you, Stixay. That being said, Huni and Reignover, not Huni and Reignover, Huhi and Reignover.
Huhi.
My bad.
Very creative with these names, by the way.
Who is he? Who even knows? But Huhi and Reignover are just really looking good, and that's where I like to see. You know, the jungle mid synergy is tried and true since the beginning, always been a really important part of League of Legends. You know, with Reignover, we had this question of whether he was going to be lost without Huni, because, you know, that they came over together and they dominated Fnatic together, they dominated IMT together, and then they split. Reignover didn't look so hot without Huni, but now that he's finally found a mesh with Darshan arguably and Huhi strongly, that's looking really good.
Yeah, as a jungler myself, like that mid-jungle synergy is just so important. And you know, I don't play a lot of League of Legends, but when I do play League, I play jungle and I gank my mid.
Jungler. He called himself a jungler. That's so sweet.
Wait, are there no junglers anymore? What is this?
I mean, I'm just proud of you calling yourself a jungler when you don't even play League like that.
Oh yeah. I was a Rengar main.
Look at him. Look at a Rengar main.
Rengar Kha'Zix, you know, that's where it was back in season 3.
I mean, they've changed a lot since then.
Yeah, I know.
Don't try and play them now.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Kha'Zix actually.
Yeah, I did
anyway,
turn it up. Yeah.
Before we get too sidetracked, I really want to talk about SKT. Because we talked about how they were looking dismal before when Wolf was their jungler, speaking of. Now they put him back on support, and it's not getting any better. And it really makes me sad. Yeah, so Wolf was, I mean, Bang and Wolf was that dynamic duo.
Yeah.
And so when I saw Wolf go back on support, I was like, okay, maybe we're just going to get, you know, the same dominance we had before, and then the rest of the lanes can kind of figure themselves out.
That would make sense.
It's not getting any better. It's not getting any better at all. I feel like Blank and I forget the name of the other jungler, but I feel like
you're blanking on it.
Oh Lord! Moment of silence for that one.
The opportunity was there, and I took it. You know, shot my shot.
Can't fault you there, I guess.
Yeah.
But the point of the matter is, the junglers are not picking up the slack.
Yeah.
You know, they're drawing blanks. You might say.
They're firing blanks.
And no, stop this. Stop this. Anyway, point is, they're not doing well, and they're not picking up the slack. I mean, maybe we're just used to SKT being so dominant prior, but it's just really difficult to see. You know, Untara was supposed to be kind of the replacement Huni, a bit more consistent, not as show-offy. You know, not as risky a player. But he still knew how to be aggressive, and it's just not showing up. You know what I mean? He just keeps making weird mistakes, and I don't know. I still think that they need some gelling. They need to like get their synergy up, which is strange talking about a Korean team that's won 2 world championships.
Absolutely, because when the viewers have to realize, people have to realize, like, she's talking about SKT T1. This is 2-time world champion.
Right.
right
Consistently #1 in all power rankings all the time, consistently the favorites, and most recently they lost to MVP, which was the bottom rank on anyone's tier lists. And now because of that and the way their wins and losses are, SKT is now at the bottom. I've never seen this
Weird
before.
how the cookie crumbles, because you like, it's so weird. Like, there's parallels between Overwatch and League of Legends, like multiple universes or something, but really the same old's happening. We're having these Korean rosters. We were so confident in London Spitfire, GC Busan, getting swept by teams from lower. This past week was literally a slaughter. It was a bloodbath. 44-5, won maps to lost maps. Every game there was a lot of 4-0s. All of those they were complete wipes.
Wow.
Sometimes you get a point on a map, right? So it's like, you win the King of the Hill, maybe 2-1. Barely. 44-5, that's just brutal.
So here's my question, actually.
Yeah.
How does that rattle a player, right? So you've been in tense situations. I don't know, what tournament experience you have, but like in a situation where you're just getting raffle stomped, right? Like it's just a domination. What do you tilt? Do you give up? Like what do you?
It's important not to give up, but it's hard to keep your mental fortitude if you don't have, a team structure. Like, if you don't have a plan in mind, then you're gonna be flustered. You're gonna be wondering, where did I go wrong? I lost a friend. Seoul Dynasty didn't play Ryujahong. It was ridiculous. They didn't play Ryujahong.
Wait, isn't that like their star dude?
Bro, he's considered by many to be the best player in the world. Mechanically gifted Ana. He's an absolute monster. He's not faring too well in the Mercy meta.
Why is an Ana player?
Yeah, but he didn't even get to play in the game. Not only is he one of their critical role supports, he provides the emotional stability that the team needs. We watched Seoul Dynasty get absolutely worked by the Spitfire roster. That's that old GC Busan Lunatic High rivalry flaring up once again. 4-0'd by the Spitfire. And this is Seoul that we're talking about.
That's nuts.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And the trend continues throughout the week. Boston Uprising. Okay, so what did you hear about the Boston Uprising when we first started this whole shebang?
I mean, I kind of heard that there were a mishmash of players, that some of them were high-ranking, like Korean ladder players, and some of them were not. And there were a lot of like crossed wires in that one,
Yeah. Crossed wires is a good way to put it, because once that team roster was announced, so many people were angry all over Twitter. People were ranking them at number 12 on their power ranks, and that's kind of flipped. But Boston Uprising, they have currently the longest win streak. They're 4-0 in their last 4 matches. It's ridiculous. Boston Uprising, once again, as well.
That's nuts.
They beat the Los Angeles Gladiators and the Valiant, actually. So LA has been dominated by Bustin. First the weak weed, then the Boston Uprising. But yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Upsets have been the name of the game.
I think you were trying to say that they were busting LA's chops, huh? Bang bang, let's go.
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
I don't know. NYXL wins. That's what I have to say.
Even further, one step further, Houston Outlaws, Seoul Dynasty. Seoul Dynasty, even though they got 4-0'd previously, Seoul Dynasty 3-2'd against the Outlaws. Outlaws. It might not sound good because they still ended up losing that game, but the Outlaws haven't been in the best place. They've been solidly middle of the pack, solidly average.
I guess.
Yeah, so they're finally working up their game. Got 2 maps off the Seoul Dynasty. We'll have to watch next week and into the final week of the Overwatch League if they can pull it out. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of people expected more from the Outlaws.
So what goes through your mind as a viewer when you see these like big swings one way or another? Is that tense for you? Is that exciting, or is that just like weird?
I think it's a lot of people weren't even expecting these kinds of swings to happen. I feel like nobody expected Boston to get good in this little period of time, and I guess get so good to the point where they're considered some of the best players in the world. It's kind of ridiculous, but we're gonna have to dive more into that topic a little bit later on in the show.
Speaking of best players in the world, I read that Geguri got signed to a team. Finally, this is the Geguri that was accused of hacking because she was so good. This was the Geguri that we talked about during our Women in Esports episode. I'm sure you remember.
Oh yeah, she is ridiculous.
But I actually have a question, because she got signed to the Shanghai Dragons?
Not so ridiculous.
That's a Chinese team.
That's a Chinese team. She's Korean.
Does she speak Chinese?
No. Shanghai Dragons signed 4 players, Geguri included, all 4 of which were Korean.
Why?
They're gonna have to learn Mandarin.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Chinese is a hard. Have you tried reading Chinese?
It's a mistake. It's a mistake for me to try to read Chinese because I don't know any of it. Do you think that they did this as like a PR move, or do you think that this was like
That's interesting, actually.
a real thing? Right, because there was all that blow up. Like a lot of people got on social media and talks about, why there are no women in Overwatch League, and there were a lot of really interesting opinion pieces in addition to our women in esports video.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, what do you think?
Well, we're definitely gonna have to see how that pans out because Geguri has the individual skill by far. Her Zarya play, she's been accused of hacking. She's fantastic, but to see if she actually meshes with the team, to see if Shanghai Dragons stop being a clown fiesta, we'll have to see. Stage 2, maybe. Better luck then.
I wonder if that'll pull more Twitch views then. Like if we know that Geguri is going to be on.
I don't know. I definitely think it's going to have a positive impact on esports as a whole, though. Geguri, you rock. Keep killing it. But speaking of Twitch views, Tyler won last week. League of Legends. What did he get? 375K peak, maybe? That is ridiculous, by the way, Tyler won. But the doc is back. Dr. Disrespect brought it back this week. Yeah, smashed that record. 389,000 concurrent viewers.
That's nuts. Was that the reason why Twitch broke that day?
I probably, dude. It was ridiculous. I know when Tyler won, got that many views, his sub count was ridiculous. Doc's was absolutely nuts as well.
I remember watching Twitch and like getting some like weird signal issues, and I wonder if it was just their servers getting overwhelmed by Doc.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see. I mean, dude, going into this next week as well, there's so many good personalities out, but there's so many good matches as well. Like, I was so excited for Doc to come back, Tyler wanted to come back, but I gotta say I'm pretty excited for week 5 and coming up into stage 2.
Yeah, we gotta bring it back to esports because some really good matches are coming up. So we've got, 100 Thieves, we've got Echo Fox doing really well. Now that we've got now that we're gearing up towards the middle of the season for us, we've got C9 and Liquid about to face each other for, I think, the first time.
Okay.
And those are really formidable lineups that we haven't really gotten a chance to showcase them.
Would you say C9 and Liquid are both the top teams in the league right now? Or what's up? What's it look like?
I don't, like, my heart doesn't want to give it to Liquid or C9, right? Because I'm a hater, but I really like their lineups. I really, especially Team Liquids. They're just powerhouses all around. And I am really excited to see what happens when they finally face each other, because that's going to really dictate who's the dominant force. You know what I mean? Additionally, we've got El Clasico with TSM versus CLG.
Oh, yeah.
Two of the oldest brands in LCS meeting up again. And because of the way they've looked kind of shaky in the beginning, kind of warming up now, gearing it up, getting a hold of the meta and taking it by the reins, it's going to be really interesting to see which one of them is going to come out on top first, right? We always talk about the TSM long con and, how they kind of sat games early to learn the meta, to gel better. And I'm wondering if they have figured that out by now, or if CLG is just going to meme their way through that series like they do all the time.
TSM always finds a way. It's like that, Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. TSM finds a way.
Finds a way.
Yeah.
No, I'm simply saying that
TSM
finds a way. What species is this?
CLG, TSM, when I hear these old, endemic, just homegrown names, it just makes me think of the great matches that we got coming next week. We got New York Excelsior and the Spitfire. And I say homegrown names referring to these two teams because it's the motherland, London, and New York. Separatists. Yes, New York will be taking on the Spitfire, and they're kind of vied for first place at this point.
Oh, yeah?
And it's going to be really, really important this next match because it's going to determine in the Stage 1 finals who's going to be first seed, who's going to end up in second, and the Seoul versus LA Valiant match will determine who's third in that little mini tournament that they'll be through.
Yeah, because you guys have stages.
Yeah.
So you guys have like a little playoffs at the end.
Yeah.
That's cute.
It's like a mini playoff. That's good.
Right, add some tension.
Yeah, dramatic.
I mean, tension for y'all because I know that NYXL is going to win.
Absolutely.
So easy.
So easy.
So now we're going to take some time to drill into a recent headline in our Flashpoint. And I'm bringing it up. NALCS finals are going to be in Miami. It's an awesome city, but it's a really small venue. It's only 2,700 seats.
Is it even an awesome city?
I mean, I like it. I would love to go, honestly.
Miami does sound pretty awesome.
Come on now. You get to watch some esports, you get to go to the beach.
Yeah.
But if you can get tickets,
do you
because there are only 2,700 seats. I mean, I'm just used to it being in Madison Square Garden, Staples Center, you know, crazy other venues with 12K to 20K seats, you know? It's actually a large difference, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you mentioned, I'm so used to hearing League of Legends selling out Madison Square Garden, selling out like CS:GO, selling out Barclays Center or something.
I mean,
2,700?
The obvious answer is that they don't want to pay as much. But why wouldn't they want to pay as much when I think that the kind of live experience is so crucial to League of Legends, esports, and esports as a whole?
Yeah, I wonder if they're really thinking like about the money, or if they're like what they're looking at. I really want to know like their thinking behind it, because like you said, I really feel like the viewing experience adds like that organic, that it's just what you need. You need real community, like face-to-face interaction.
I agree, but I feel like that's because I have like, you know, the kind of community building background, so I care a lot about bringing people together to watch esports, but maybe that's not the case for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the Overwatch League and NALCS aren't just really aiming to make money off of people anyways. Like 20 to 30 bucks for Overwatch League tickets, and like 15 bucks for NALCS split tickets. Like, and finals were something like 35 to 85 bucks a ticket. Nothing absolutely ridiculous, and both really small studios.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I definitely think that they haven't been focusing lately on it, but no one went to the CS:GO E-League. I'm gonna talk about E-League again because I went there and I experienced it, and it's amazing, and it's unforgettable. And I've been to MSG multiple times. And it's just, I've actually went to MSI in Tallahassee.
What?
I had friends who had went to the University of Florida, and it was actually being hosted in there. And that's such an experience. And I'm never gonna forget it. And I really feel like Riot's dropping the ball on this one.
Yeah, and I feel like teams like NYXL maybe dropping the ball a little bit too, because I felt what you felt. I went to DreamHack Montreal. Dude, that's an event where people just come, they bring their own stuff, they set it up, they camp. The whole thing is revolved around PC gamers, people just geeking out together in person.
And you went as a caster,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
so
I did go as a caster.
How did that change it? How did that change like your experience casting? Because I know you casted in the Microsoft Store.
Yeah.
They do have an audience space, but not as much of one, right?
Oh, no, nowhere near.
So does that change your energy? Do you feel the vibe even all the way there?
Absolutely. Like when you see a play popping off and you're casting alongside, and I do a lot of play-by-play, so I'm in charge of creating that tension. So when I see something popping off and you get the tension going right, you feel the energy from the crowd, you see them reacting to it in live time. That's the craziest thing, dude. You had this video from E-League of the bands popping off. That must have felt ridiculous as well.
I mean, I'm never gonna forget the experience of E-League, and I'm never gonna forget the experience of like the surging like crowd supporting the team that you support. You know, it amps you up further. It just highlights how amazing, you know, the team spirit is.
Yeah, and we see it in the Overwatch League too. Like even when they pop up maps like Dorado, people cheer because it's cool. When the NYXL walks out, Pine comes out on that stage with his pink haircut and his snapback, people go insane. Imagine feeling that in person.
What a beast.
It's just ridiculous. And now Overwatch League, they're attempting to do this thing in the next couple of years with that $20 million investment from each team, where they're going to be building arenas in their respective cities. What do you think?
What?
Yeah.
Who's got, I mean, yeah, okay, cool. 20 million from each team, nice. But that, I still don't think they have money to build an arena in New York City.
You know,
Where is it gonna be?
We're gonna have to keep our eyes peeled. They have a PlayStation theater, so anything is possible.
I mean, I don't know. I don't respect it. I really don't. I don't know what's going on there. But I mean, more power to them. If they can do this, if they can really do this and double down on the local feeling, it'll be amazing. Because I really do think Riot kind of dropped the ball on that one. You know, I'm the community manager person, right? Like I do League of Libations.
Yeah.
It's everything. I love it. It's like it's the way I can explain esports to people who don't watch esports but watch other sports, right? That surge, that feeling. When I went to Libations this past Saturday, there was a Barcelona game, or no, a Real Madrid game happening side by side, and we were louder. You know what I mean? And these are Real Madrid fans. Like soccer fans are really intense.
Soccer fans are rambunctious.
And, you know that there's a bonding experience. There's a spirit to it. There's an attachment to the game that you've developed because you're watching it with friends, and that is just an experience you can't feel at home just on Twitch.
This past weekend, the best example, Super Bowl. You know, you've been doing it ever since you were little without even realizing, congregating to watch a sporting event. In a couple of years, you never know, we might be congregating to just keep watching like the finals of the league or the finals of Overwatch League or something.
I mean, I feel it already. I feel it. And I really do think that these bigger orgs should capitalize on that. And I'm glad to see, I mean, as much as I, you know, talk nonsense about Overwatch, I'm glad to see that they're taking that angle, because I'm ready to root for my home team.
Absolutely. I'm so glad they're taking that angle. And, you know, like those in-person advertisements, like I saw this on a random building in New York City. I think it was either Brooklyn or Flushing. I saw it on Reddit. There's this huge, huge painting of Genji on the side of a wall, and it says, "The world needs more heroes."
Ooh.
It's like, what?
Slick.
Imagine just walking back from school, from wherever you're going, Genji. It's like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Seeing in person real things like that, and people are connecting, it's just great.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this goes. And I hope that Riot's listening.
Yeah.
No, come on. I really hope that Riot's listening and like really doubles down on this, because I'm kind of disappointed in this small venue decision that they made.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how it pans out. It's too soon to say just yet. But we're going to have to keep our eyes out on it, because I know us and millions of others will be watching.
So what really makes these games are the players. So we're going to take it over to our Hero Select, where we talk about what our star players are doing lately. And I'm going to have to start with Team Liquid Pole Belter.
A notorious POB.
That's the man. Yeah. I never thought I would say Team Liquid Pole Belter, but there he is. Ever since Curse in the beginning, he's come back full circle, and he's putting up numbers against both FlyQuest and Golden Guardians. He played an amazing Corki versus Keen, doing things I never thought I'd see. He like dove down, solo killed Keen, then was teleported into another play where he got a double kill, just all over the map, being a monster. Put up 250 CS and going 603 against High. Really putting in the work.
250 CS?
Yeah, just about as much as his IQ.
Big
Smart
brain.
man.
Big brain.
Big brain indeed. Now we also got, speaking of big brain, we got C9 Smoothie on that Alistar, making waves, roaming this way and that, being a great Alistar. He's the shot caller, so it's only natural to see him moving around the map, but it was just so good to see the team finally working around him and him making the plays, being where he needed to be. He was roaming into like enemy jungle against Clutch, getting those wards down. It was almost like the Clutch jungler couldn't even, he couldn't make a move without being spotted.
Yeah, and if you've ever played against Alistar, you'll know how annoying it is to just be walking around in your jungle and then headbutt smash combo, and you're just like, oh, what is going on? It's my jungle, leave me alone.
And then you've got 2 or 3 more people descending on you because their team is just so synergized. It's just a beauty to see. Finally, have to talk about CLG Darshan, because he was always a pillar of strength on his team, but he really had a chance to show off lately. And it's just, you know, Darshan was doing Darshan things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe return to form for our good old Zion Spartan.
Man,
Pantheon.
He was kind of looking Zion Spartan recently. More like Zion Spartan and less like Darshan that we know lately. We don't have to talk about it.
His teacher called him Zion Spartan. Don't forget that.
That's old, man. You're showing your age right now.
Yeah, it's old.
That's some season 2 stuff right there.
TPA, baby, all day.
Okay, guys. But anyway, even now in 2018, Darshan is looking lit, and I really appreciate him finally stepping up. They gave him a chance to play more of a carry role, and he just ate it up, honestly. I'm just really happy to see him doing so well. Do you want to tell me a little bit? Oh, right. I mean, one more thing I have to say, with great disdain, because you know I highlighted my boy Huni last week, but Darshan really did showcase his strength by solo killing my boy Huni.
It's the ultimate revenge, the ultimate top lane death there. Huni was regarded as one of the best top laners for a while after that KT victory.
I still kind of think he is,
Yeah.
let's be honest. But Darshan, you know, I think it's kind of a, not, what is it? Not machismo, but it's very much it's an aggressive top laner thing to do, right?
Yeah.
When you establish dominance, there's very much a top lane hierarchy where like there's a transitive property, like if Hanser solo kills him, and then, you know, someday did this against this guy. So Darshan killing Kuni by himself, no jungle presence, no jungle help, really solidifies like Darshan is here to establish dominance.
Well, talking about establishing dominance and making a name for yourself, Dream Casper and Note on the Boston Uprising, making themselves household names this past week. Dream Casper on his extensive roster of heroes. That guy is just a monster on a lot of DPS heroes for no really good reason other than hard work, practice, coordination. But they destroyed the Valiant and the Gladiators, both LA teams.
And so switching over across multiple champions or multiple heroes, right? That's you need kind of like a diverse playstyle in order to do that, right?
Absolutely.
So not only is he kind of shifting his own playstyle as the game goes on, but the team also has to synergize with that, right?
Absolutely, and the synergy has been ridiculous between him and Striker. Striker usually plays a tracer role, and Dreamcasper will play the Pharah, Genji, mostly projectile, but he can flex onto other things like Soldier if he needs to. The way they do it is Dreamcasper gets a lot of good hits, as Pharah especially. Lots of good direct rocket hits, doing massive amounts of damage, but with no cleanup until Striker makes his presence known. And dude, Striker has been practicing like crazy. There was an interview with him, and he was saying, I practiced till I thought I was gonna die. Like, it was ridiculous. But definitely gotta keep our eyes peeled for that. Moving on, Dynasty and the Outlaws. Zunba on the Seoul Dynasty, absolutely impeccable play on Zarya this past match. A lot of people have time finding efficiency, finding utility on Zarya, but that's just because you gotta work with your team, man. You gotta bubble your tanks, send them in, take a lot of damage, and Zunba was doing exactly that. Made sure he got those clutch bubbles off and lots of good graviton surges for those insane team wipes.
Interesting. I find it unique with Zarya play in particular because she can't, even though she's kind of a tank, kind of off tank, she's got a beefy health bar, but she can't really be on the front line. Yeah. Right? So she's got to really choose when to go forward and when to go back. Absolutely. And as a Zarya, you kind of dictate like how aggressive your entire team can play because you kind of have to like take the lead and inspire your team almost. Just charge out there, put your bubble on, be like, all right, go get in there, Winston. I'll bubble you. I promise. You just trust me. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Interesting.
Worked out for Zunba in that match, definitely. Seoul Dynasty taking that one 3-2. And, you know, continuing on tank play, continuing the tank talk, let's talk about Coolmat and Muma on the side of the Outlaws. And Muma, in particular, has been getting a lot of recognition for having fantastic Winston play. And I know that kind of might sound like an oxymoron. A lot of people don't really recognize Winston as being a high skill level character, but
I guess you gotta know when to jump in.
Exactly. Absolutely. See, look, she's got a great understanding already. Pick her up for the Overwatch League.
Goes to show that a league player knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, see, you just gotta understand the game. But exactly, Muma and Coolmat synchronizing their attacks very well. Winston was just able to get into the front lines, and he was doing a very good job of just being annoying. All you have to do as Winston is stay alive, stay in your bubble, get out, and just keep doing it. If you die, you're of no use to anybody. That's like pretty good life tip.
So if you die, you're of no use to anybody. Quote him on that.
Yeah.
Life lessons.
Got that on the live stream yesterday.
Jim Basco.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, Muma, Coolmat doing a fantastic job. Once Muma would dive in on that Winston, Coolmat would follow up on Diva, defense matrix him, he would be invulnerable. Fantastic coordination, and honestly, I can't wait to see what else the Outlaws have in store.
So that brings us to our ending point, where we're going to showcase Khan in his mastery, picking a champion that we haven't seen in a minute in LCK and doing work.
Rocks, because they just can't find any sort of fight. Oh, there's a flash in BDD. Wants to start this one off, but the Nether Grasp is actually going to be cancelled. Here comes Riven! Oh my god, the triple stun! Massive key burst, triple kill, quadra kill! Is this going to be the Penta? He's going to be delivered at this time! That's going to be the first Riven in 3 years! Penta kill for Khan, and the 2-0 for King's Own Dragon X!
King's Own Dragon X, the best in the world.
That's it for The Starting Point. Thank you so much for watching. I am Judy Jetset.
And I'm Jimmy Jimbasco Mondal. And if you haven't already, I don't know what you're doing with your life, subscribe and hit that bell icon to become part of the notification squad today. We upload videos about 7 times a week, so make sure you tune into those.
Keep it locked on the Leaderboard.
Your home for video game facts.